So should the Yankees pounce for somebody? Should they pounce for Starling Marte? Should they pounce for one of these shortstops? My pick being Trevor Story. Should they pounce for a starting pitcher like Robbie Ray or somebody like that? My answer is yes. How many? It still remains to be seen. But I do think the Yankees need to be aggressive in getting somebody off the board because the list is growing longer for guys like Starling Marte. And it's going to grow longer for Story as well once they realize the teams are going to be out of the Correa and Seager bidding because they're going to be so ridiculously expensive. Before we get into more detail, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Hit the notification so that you don't miss any hot stuff, any hot stove stuff, breaking news or anything like that this offseason. I'm going to fill you in anything and everything. So with that said, Robbie Ray, Kevin Gausman, Carlos Rodon. Robbie Ray and Trevor Story come with qualifying offers, so attached to them, meaning they've rejected them already. So not only will the team have to give them money for a contract, they're going to have to forfeit a draft pick, a high one, and as well as international prospect pool money. So those are 3 layers of payments there. Now there are other players that guys like Kevin Gausman or Marcus Stroman or some other pitchers of that, to that level that do not come with qualifying offers. So, which makes it easier for certain teams to make a decision. Starling Marte does not come with a qualifying offer. Personally, Aaron Hicks is going to be playing winter ball, and he'll be able to show whether he's going to be healthy or not, or temporarily healthy or whatever. But he's been an injury issue for several years now, whether it be this or that. Coming off wrist surgery, nobody really knows if they can trust him to stay healthy. So to me, I would jump on Starling Marte train now if they can get him for like a 3 or 4 year deal. He's super athletic, and then we have a kid like Everson Pereira, one of these young outfielders, Trey Ambergy, kind of get an opportunity. Estevan Florio get an opportunity. So, and then you plug him in because at next year, Joey Gallo is going to be a free agent. Okay, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But the Yankees just got rid of almost all their athleticism and their speed and their versatility. Starling Marte has a lot of that stuff. Good contact hitter with speed, led the major leagues in stolen bases. Even though he's 32 or 33, he's still one of the most athletic players in the game. He's an athletic freak. He's an elite fielder. He's a clutch hitter. So a lot of the things that the Yankees need, he's all wrapped up into one alone. And if for some reason they don't get him, I would be pouncing on Eddie Rosario or somebody to that level, or Chris Taylor. But I think those are the 3 guys, at least one of them, Starling Marte being the first one, the Yankees should pounce on now, before the non-tender deadline, before the CBA expires. Get something on the roster now, somebody of significance on the roster. That way it is less stress and less scrambling to do later on. You can check that box and move on to another pitcher. I think Robbie Ray is probably going to go afterward once they figure out, and I think there will be a work stoppage, but it's not going to go into the season. I think they're going to want to figure it out so that people can sign with teams before the spring training starts and whatnot. So, but it's just still going to push a lot of guys back, and it's going to create an absolute frenzy. And that's where teams are going to be desperate to overbid, which is why I keep saying the Yankees will be well off to strike first. They do something early, be aggressive somewhere. They'll put themselves in a good position. And again, they have so many boxes to check. If they can trade for a catcher right now, I'd be trading for a catcher because remember, December 1st is the non-tender deadline. If they bring in a catcher like Wilson Contreras or Jacob Stallings or somebody like that, Carson Kelly, then they can non-tender Gary Sanchez, who's in his last year of arbitration, and they could save that $8 million. Okay? Again, they might keep him and wait until they see if DH is adopted in the National League. But again, that's going to be after the non-tender deadline, so they're going to have to trade him and hope to get equal value back. If they get somebody here and they non-tender him, they wipe the whole salary off the books. So it's a decision that needs to be made. So we really don't know what the Yankees are doing. He says they have offers out to a lot of top players. We don't know who the hell they are. We don't know what kind of offers they are either, and we're never going to know until somebody accepts them. But to me, I think it would be a wise idea for the Yankees to pounce right now with 1 pitcher and 1 offensive player. I still am of the opinion they need 2 pitchers, one way or another. Whether it be a signing and a trade or whatever it is, I think I'm of the opinion they need 2 pitchers because they always have guys down. And I've said this already. Jameson Taillon is down. The season hasn't even started. We're 5 months away from the season starting, and he's still down because of his surgery. And according to reports, he's going to be back in May or maybe June. So Yankees need 2 starters. Yankees need 2 starters. I can't say it enough. 2 starters. So, and if you can get a Starling Marte here, if you get a Chris Taylor here, or if you get a Chris Taylor and an Eddie Rosario, Chris Taylor can be the super utility guy. They just got rid of Tyler Wade, the only guy that has speed and plays infield and outfield and has a great bat. I mean, and has a great glove. Decent bat, not too sexy, but like Miguel Andujar has a potentially great bat. They kept him around, but his glove is awful. His defense is awful. He plays infield and outfield, but he's like the complete opposite of Tyler Wade. Wade has speed and an elite glove. Okay, Andujar has been hurt for the last couple of years, but he has potentially an elite bat, but defense is suspect. And again, we don't even know if he's going to stay around. He might be traded in a trade, and we don't know what the Yankees are going to do. And I would not sit around waiting for a Matt Olson trade while other guys go off the board. I don't think that's a smart idea, and I think the longer this takes to get Matt Olson, I think the less likely he's going to come here, and the more likely he's probably going to go to Tampa or Boston, which is why I think it's another reason for the Yankees to pounce. Do not be afraid to give up a big piece for him. Try to get him in a pitcher. Try to get him in Sean Murphy, whatever you have to do. But you try to get him. And if you can somehow get Olson here, and you get a Trevor Story here, and you get a pitcher and a Starling Marte, completely different offseason. Completely different offseason. And add those guys up. Let's just say you get Marte for 4 years, $80 million. Right? And then you get Story for 5 years of 125. So that's what, 80 and 25, 205. You get Eddie Rosario for 2 years, $20 million. Okay? Was at 225 now, right? And then you get a pitcher here. Let's just say Kevin Gausman and 80 million, whatever. You add 4 of those guys up, and it's going to be pretty much what Carlos Correa is going to get alone. Instead, you got 4 guys for the price of 1 Correa. Better logic, better baseball for the Yankees. So this is what I mean. Pouncing now on something would be a really, really good idea. Being early instead of trying to win trades, trying to wait for the market to come down. There's no guarantee it's going to come down. And whenever you wait for it to come down, Cashman, the guys that could have been really, really helpful are gone. So maybe they're going to trade for somebody. Maybe they'll do some kind of Whit Merrifield thing and MJ Melendez with the Royals. That would be a nice trade. He's athletic. But I wouldn't rely on Whit Merrifield either. That's one guy. A guy like Chris Taylor would come in handy here. He plays multiple positions, right? A guy like Eddie Rosario plays multiple positions in the outfield. He's a great base runner. And again, these guys represent all the things the Yankees just gave away, either DFA'd or in trade recently, or put on waivers. They need to get these things back. They need to get that speed and athleticism and that feisty blue-collar hunger back. They need it back. So what do you guys think? And again, I'm not against going for the blockbuster trade. There are some teams that can line up with the Yankees for blockbuster trades. The Marlins might be a good candidate. The Pirates obviously have a relationship with the Yankees. So there are candidates out there, and obviously the A's. I know they're in regular dialogue, but I don't think it's a good idea just to wait for the Olsen trade and not do anything else. Yankees have some holes to fill. Fill them now, because the baseball might be different once this work stoppage is over, and they might be in a worse position then than they are now. So take advantage of this stuff now, guys. Let's get into it.